Morning, guys. Welcome to Coffee Chat. Oh, by the way, this is my Tim Hortons Dubai cup. Now, what's interesting about that, of course, is when we move from Canada to the US, obviously there's no Tim Hortons here in Texas. And Tim Hortons, guys, is like a religious staple practically in Canada. And so, anyway, by and by, Judy and I had planned a trip and took her over to Dubai. And so we're over there going through all the various shops and malls, and lo and behold, we saw some Tim Hortons there. So, of course, we just ran over and ordered ourselves a cup of coffee from Tim Hortons. And there you go. They have their own Dubai cups and what. So it was kind of nice. Now, any case, guys, I was reading two articles today, and both of them are major, major deals. The first one is about the whole crushing of the dollar and the petrodollar. And this is all coming out of Saudi Arabia now being more than willing to kill the petrodollar by trading oil for gold and other currencies. I'm telling you, do not underestimate the impact that this is going to have on the Western economy and the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. It is going to be absolutely massive. The entire lifestyle that the majority of Americans have enjoyed has been propped up by the petrodollar. Don't kid yourself. They have gone to war over this whole issue. Think of Gaddafi. I mean, he was looking at, selling their oil for gold. And boy, oh boy, weren't they swift to react to that. And let's be honest, the whole Gulf War, because Saddam Hussein, of course, again, he was out there purporting to, potentially sell their oil for other currencies and gold than outside the US dollar. And what happened? Boom, big time war. And guys, I'm telling you, this conflict that's going on over there in Ukraine, I think it has more to do with a monetary war than like a conventional war or a land grab or any of that. And the reason I believe that is because, of course, we have all these BRICS nations that are building up for themselves a system that is not going to be dependent upon this SWIFT system. And let's be honest, they're using distributed ledger technology to do it. So it can't be thwarted, hacked, cracked, and all that stuff by the West. And do you think sanctions are going to work anymore once that's in full gear, in full swing? And especially if Saudi Arabia gets on board with the BRICS nations and decides that they're going to sell their oil for those gold-backed stable coins and all that, guys, it'll be game over for the West. And I think we're going to see some major, major deals happen this year as a result of what's going on here. Now, that is big in my view. Now, the other thing that's quite interesting that affects us in this space in a big way has to do with the IRS. So I was reading another article that said now for 2022, on the IRS forms that we file, our 1040s and whatever, there's now a mandatory question in there. And it's not just for folks that have bought, these digital assets. And they changed the language by saying virtual currencies to digital assets. Now, that is big time telling. And the reason that's a big time tell is because they're not just viewing these things anymore as, cryptocurrencies or virtual currencies. They're looking at them as digital assets. And that is a big, big mind switch in terms of how we define them. And I love the fact that it's there because they are digital assets in my view. But whether or not a person has received a reward or purchased or transacted or whatever, even as a gift, received digital assets, you have to answer this question, yes or no. And the question is, have you ever transacted in these things throughout 2022? And if you haven't, you have to say no. So it's mandatory for every single taxpayer in the United States to actually acknowledge this on their tax forms, whether or not they have actually transacted in digital currencies. It's a mandatory question, a yes or no, and everybody has to answer it, not just us that have been involved in this space, and that is a major deal, guys. You wait and see how this is all going to pan out. I'm telling you, it's going to change everything. We're going to see a whole different way of measuring capital gains. I believe that. And especially, your losses, your expenses, and everything related to it. It's going to change the way the taxes are actually done. I did taxes for almost 25 years for the tax department in Canada. And I can tell you, I know these are slow boats when they come in to change, but boy, when the changes are fully implemented, it is a major, major deal. It literally shifts the entire way taxes are done. I remember when the goods and services tax came out in Canada, because they never had that kind of a federal, sales tax system. And so when that came into play, boy, it just uprooted and changed the entire tax system in Canada. In fact, opened up brand new departments and literally even new unions and on and on and on. It was a major, major deal. And I'm thinking when we see the full implementation of this distributed ledger technology space and these digital assets in this new economy that's coming about, you watch and see if the tax system in our countries are completely revolutionized and changed. It's going to be a massive, massive deal. But guys, that's progress, right? That is part of progress, and we should welcome it. Why? Because we're talking about adoption here. You can see the handwriting, as it were, on the wall, and we should all be, in a way, a little bit encouraged by that. Now, hey, I get it. No one wants to pay taxes, especially a tax guy. We don't want to get, all of our profits and gains just kind of raped from us with the tax department. And that's where you get out there and you advocate with your congressman and what in order to get tax legislation crafted in a way that benefits us in this space and the broader American population, because our taxes are high enough as it is, in my view. And I certainly don't want to go with that Janet Yellen's proposal of taxing unrealized capital gains. I mean, that's just beyond the pale. That's practically as far as I'm concerned, taxable insanity. I mean, taxing, unrealized capital gains. Well, hey, are you going to allow unrealized capital losses? Probably not. So that whole idea to me is just like nuts. But needless to say, watch and see if we don't see a much greater level of adoption and how it affects on everything that we do, our taxes and absolutely everything. Well, guys, it is Friday, and that means we got an amazing weekend ahead of us. And we don't usually do anything on the weekend unless it's a real emergency or we're doing like a live stream. And so I really hope weekends for family and friends. I hope you get to spend family and friend times, this weekend with your family and friends and all of that. Now, hey, something I got to throw out there is I've had some people reach out to me again saying, hey, I'm not seeing your replies to my emails or whatever. Look, guys, into your spam folders, because that's probably where it is. I've noticed that people have written back to me saying, yep, I found your response to my email in my spam box. So check out your spam box. No doubt it's in there. And hey, at the end of the day, if you're not finding it in your spam box and you're not finding it in your inbox and it's not in your junk box or whatever, and I've replied, I mean, there's really not too much we can do. It's technology. It's really outside of our hands. All I can do is write my response and reply to you, which I do. But I hope you find it in there anyway. Well, guys, until later on this afternoon, I have a really amazing, great video for you later on today. Have a great one and take care.